to Birmingham and to the fourth Bupa Great Birmingham Run, a combined race with Thomas Ayeko of Uganda attempting to defend his title against some tough opposition. It's a debut half marathon though for Lynette Masai of Kenya, former world 10,000 metre champion. Conditions are generally favourable, although the half marathon course is extremely challenging. Joining me in the commentary box is Dave Moorcroft. Anna Dulce Felix, the former European 10,000 metre champion. She won the silver medal in the European cross country a couple of times as well. And Christelle Dornay, European marathon champion this year, so she's French and in very good form indeed. We've seen quite a bit of her on the roads in the past, and she should feature. The women's race should be pretty competitive actually. Well, this is Lynette Masai, who I reckon this is her debut, the former world 10,000 metre champion, 3 times world cross-country championship silver medalist. Very talented, be very interested to see what she does. But Emmanuel Bett comes in next. He won the Bupa Great South Run last year. We saw him down that waterfront, seafront, running very strongly into a strong headwind. And just Bett now, the Commonwealth Games 10,000 metre silver medalist, up next from Kenya, of course. It's a very strong Kenyan presence here. Well, the man who won last year, Thomas Ayeko, who, of course, in his debut last year, won the race. Alongside me, David. It is a challenging course. We'll have a look at that in a moment, but a lot to look forward to here.
20,000 people, Stuart, as we've said. 20,000 people all running for different reasons. They line up with the superstars at the front, but they're now off to raise money for charity, to get fit, to feel good, to share memories with their friends. But immediately these guys are going off. The first mile is kind of relatively downhill, and then it's very, very undulating until we hit a big hill near the finish, and again, more of that later. But these guys will be going off at about 4 minutes 35 pace for the mile, and it's astonishing that they can maintain that pace for the whole distance.
These athletes on their way on a course that really is quite challenging, as Dave's already said. Bourneville right at the bottom, then they'll come back. Most of it's on Pershore Road, incidentally. They go into the park at 8 miles, past Edgbaston, the cricket ground, at 9 miles, and then across and back up past Hagley Road and Broad Street into the finish. So it's, and that last mile and a half or so is uphill, and as we were saying, it's very, very much uphill. But meanwhile, this is down to now, what, 5 men, and that looks like Emmanuel Bett still leading, 4:31, 4:46, and I can tell you that second mile is slightly uphill. We're looking at the profile here, and it's really slightly uphill from 2 to 5 when it reaches its first high point at around about Bourneville. Mostly the Pershore Road, as I said, but they do deviate off it along Kensington Road at about 4 miles and then come back onto Pershore Road as they head down to Bourneville. But there's no surprises here, apart from Kimatai probably, the Kenyan. Let's have a look at the women. I was looking for Wanjiku because she normally likes to lead the women's races, but Kipsum certainly up in that leading group, and that's Faith Kipsum, a great Scottish run 4th placer actually, with a personal best this year, 71.10 with the half marathon. So she's pretty well on song. Well, I would expect them to be running at this. When Jiko is up there as well, she is leading. I thought she was. That's the little figure in the yellow and black. She's just hiding behind Steve Way, and she'll always be up there or thereabouts to lead a race. There she is, Wanjiku. She loves to front run. Second place in the Great South Run last year, so we've seen her before. She really is very, very competitive. Masai quite happy to sit in alongside Kiptum there as they get underway.
We said earlier that Ayeko would keep out of trouble. Kimatai's now making a break. Ayeko would keep out of trouble, but in fact he led for a while. Kimatai's running a brilliant race.
Well,
this is a sort of a positive move. It's not just stretching the opposition. He's now trying to break the opposition, and he has to make a decision now. It's a long way to go. He's got 45 minutes of running. And if he's going to make a break and make it decisive, he's got to get away from the opposition and give them no chance of getting back. It's very early on to make a break of this magnitude. And Bet is covering it already. Yeah,
Emmanuel Bet, he's very, very strong indeed. Very strong. I'll just look at this now. Kimitai really put the pedal down now. And we've said in the middle of this race the profile is going uphill. It's slightly uphill, so it's quite a brave move to make, and I don't think it's anywhere near significant.
It isn't. Again, Kimitai might have in his mind that he'll put on a bit of a burst, make life difficult for his rivals, and then ease back a little bit. And it was the kind of traditional, I suppose, tactic of Kenyan athletes of the 70s and 80s of fast and slow to break the opposition.
No change really with Wanjiku still at the 4. But Changewo is the Commonwealth Games silver medalist over 10,000 metres, of course, in 2010. That was a race won by Grace Momanyi, who we've seen in the UK. She's got a 68.49 half marathon to her credit, so she's very useful indeed. And she made her debut at half marathon in Delhi in 2010. She finished 10th in 70.40. That was some race. There it is, Wanjiku, Changewo, Masai and Kipsum. Those are the leading women. And those women with Dornay, of course, on her own in 5th place at the moment. Interesting what will happen in this race. I really don't know who's going to win this one, David. I think, you know, when you come into a race and you see a big name, you think, well, it's down to them. But quite frankly, this could go anywhere. And certainly Masai is an unknown quantity in terms of this distance.
And, you know, we've got 4 Kenyan women at the front, and there's a race within the race. There's the race to win the race, but there's a race to be the first Kenyan, and there's a huge amount of national pride. There's a great lot of camaraderie within the Kenyan team, but also they desperately want to beat each other. And actually, I don't think Lynette Masai at the moment is looking as relaxed. It's hard to tell, but Changewo really probably looks very strong. And Wanjiku, again, has got a head down and is pushing it on.
Well, the break has come in this race, and it's Emmanuel Bet who's really taking this on, along with Kimitai, Joel Kimitai of Kenya, these two, and all of a sudden the defending champion finds himself way back and unable to come along with this pace. I'm just looking at the first 4 miles we got. 4:31, 4:46, 4:49, 4:52. Now that tells you a little bit about the uphill part of this course, doesn't it? But Bet and Kimitai really are away now. This is significant. There's no question about that. If we were talking marathon, then I would say hang on a bit. But this is half marathon, and they really look at the distance they are ahead, David. I mean, that break is significant. Kimitai tried it earlier, they came back to him, but now this is very significant indeed. Unless something drastic happens, then this looks as though it's down to 2.
No, this is the decisive break, and now the next break has got to be when one or the other of these manages to get away from the other. Ayeko was struggling early on. We could see as he went up a hill that he wasn't comfortable. And I think what Bet and what Kimitai would have done is he kind of sensed that the opposition are beginning to wane. They're beginning to suffer. And it's partly intuitive and partly what goes through, you know, in terms of your head, the tactics that you've already determined. But they've made the break. But the chasing group, really, you can see from the way that they're running that at best they're running for 3rd place. They've given up on Bet and Kimitai. Here's the lead women again. Steve Way doing a good job pacing them. Lynette Masai on the right looks comfortable again. I think they've pretty much regrouped, really. Yeah, they're down to 3 though, aren't they? With Changewo looks a bit ragged on the right of the shot, and Wanjiku has really been in the front right from the start. That's Changewo, Doris Changewo, I should say, the Commonwealth silver medalist at the 10,000. Gained her first major title at the Military World Championships in 2007. She won the 10,000 metres. She's come through the ranks in every sense of the word. And there's the leading men. They are shifting, aren't they? And it's very helpful. There are 2 of them. I am surprised that they're down to 2 so early in the race, really. You know, with 5 and 6 miles and heading back shortly
to the Pershore Road and beyond, but they are really moving, and you can see that the undulations, there's a slight downhill, and that downhill is between 5 and 6 and 6.5 as they go towards 10 kilometers, and we'll try and give you some sort of pace at 10 kilometers. 6 miles, 28:23. Well, that gives me a chance to 28:23 at 6 miles. We'll give you a rundown on that in a moment.
But for these two guys, you can see how light they are on their feet. They're not trying to break at the moment. They're both running relaxed. Neither of them are showing any real signs of stress.
That's last year's winner, the defending champion, Yeko and Gelant and Joseph Bet, those three who were in that group of 5. They've dropped off now and will be contesting 3rd place, I would think. And the 10K split at 29:11 for the men, which means that well, they're well outside the course record. The course record they would have had to have gone through in 28:34. So they're a half a minute. It's going to be around about 61.5, 62, I would think, at the end, unless there's a bit of a rush on.
Coming back to where the crowds are gathering, and the athletes enjoy running on the opposite side of the athletes going out, and it's kind of nice to get that variation, and it's good people, the masses on the right-hand side of the road, it's great for them to be able to watch the elite on this side of the road. But whereas the masses are enjoying watching the race, for Bet and Kimitai, there's no time to enjoy it, just time to focus on what needs to be done over the coming miles.
Well, this is part of a warm-up for the coloured areas, where they'll set them off. There's orange, white, green and the pink area here. That will be the last one to go. They're set off in 2 pulses, and there's a long way to go for them. But the women leading, Wanjiku, and they've gone through just 6 miles in 32.5 for the women. So just a rough assessment. I would think we're looking at probably around about 71. I think we're looking at about 71.
Yeah, which is a decent time for this course. Again, Steve Way, they're very grateful that he's prepared to do the work. No great hurry to make a break. All of them looking quite comfortable, just mindful of the fact that there's still over half an hour to go and plenty of time to put the damage in. But there is a bit of a break on there.
Yeah, there isn't. The Changewo looks as though she's struggling a little bit off the back. Masai look is that tall, elegant figure in 2nd place, and Wanjiku, who won the, I'm just looking at, there you are, 33.33 at 10K, 33.33, and that is 13 seconds outside of the course record as they're running at the moment. So they are really benefiting from Steve Way taking that pace as they come, and it looks as though we are now down to just 2 women.
The incredible thing is the strength in depth, particularly of the nation of Kenya. There's the lovely little bridge. The nation of Kenya has got such incredible strength in depth. Ethiopia have got great individuals, but over the marathon and the half marathon, Kenya really ruled, both in terms of at the sharp end and in terms of volume. Incredible competition between those athletes, incredible pride at stake. And for these 2 guys now, I think we're back to the women. Again, Kenya versus Kenya, Wanjiku and Masai. Wanjiku keeps looking over her shoulder. She's trying to sense whether Masai is tiring. Masai looks impassive. She's relaxed. She's controlled. She's running. Soon she'll be into unknown territory. She goes beyond her comfort zone in terms of the experience she's had in racing. She's running further today than she usually runs. For Wanjiku, she knows she's comfortable with the distance, but Masai still is very much the class athlete.
Well, I tell you, the Cannon Hill Park here, and this is still, I'm just looking at the profile, it's a little bit of downhill between 9 and 10. It's the last piece of downhill they'll have, David, and as you can see from the tenor of their run, and when they go out of the park they should turn right if my if my geography is right. Yeah, there they go, and then they'll go back out onto the Edgbaston Road, I think. But then they'll go straight towards the Cleveland Road and 10 miles.
Yeah, they go through 10 miles. The miles are back down to 4 minutes 30. So at the fastest they've been at 4 minutes 18. The slowest is 4:44. They're now averaging around about 4:30, which is what we expected. Soon they'll be at the 10-mile point, and then at half mile, a mile or so after then, they reach the big hill, the hill that both of them will know about. But again, I don't think either of them at the moment are making any particular effort. They're happy to run with each other. They'll test each other now and again, but they really haven't tried anything decisive since Bet came back and Kimitai drew him in. But now third, fourth and fifth, same three. Yeah,
same three. Gallant actually is leading this little group at the moment, and we've got Josephat Bet along with him, and of course Ayeko, who won the race from Uganda, in third place here.
But they come into the beautiful park now, and there is a slight gap. Maybe it's my imagination, but I think Wanjika really is winding it up.
Yeah, she's
and Masai really is finding it hard to hang in.
Yeah.
For physical and psychological reasons, this is really crucial.
I think you're right. I think there is a little bit of a break on here. I think Masai is dropping off the back a little bit at the moment, and there is a gap opening out, but whether that is significant, time will tell. But remember, when they go into the park, there's a slight uphill, there's a little bit of downhill, and then they go uphill, and it undulates, and then the final stages are downhill. Now look at this, they're taking different routes entirely.
They are taking different routes, and it's easy to say from the comfort of a commentary position, but Wanjika now has got to get her head down and go. There's no coming back, no easing off, no looking over her shoulder. She has really got to drive the next mile or so just to put Masai completely out of touch. As far as Masai is concerned now, she's got Steve Way just behind her. She could draw Wanjiko back, and that's an advantage for Masai. But Wanjiko's taken the initiative, she's got control of the race, she's dominating the race, and this next mile will decide whether ultimately she wins the race. And look, Kimitai is breaking Bet. That's really interesting. They've just gone through 10 miles, and again, are we looking at a decisive break? Bet is on his heels there. He's not running relaxed, he's not running comfortably. Kimitai is bouncing along on his toes. You can see from his cadence that he's comfortable, he's relaxed. And again, as we said with Wanjiko in the women's race, this is the point of no return for Kimitai. He's really got to keep that pace going, because this break is the decisive break. And for Kimitai, if he can really do the damage now, really make that break much longer, he has the comfort of running up the hill knowing that Bet is broken. And a similar opportunity for Wanjiko in the women's race. Steve Way's got back onto Wanjiko's shoulder, in a sense is helping her now.
Well, I tell you what, David, I mean, on that last check, she's on schedule, although she's got that big uphill to come. She was on schedule at that point of 69 and a half. So she was sub 70, so she's pushed it along very hard, and that's why Lynette Masai finds herself adrift on this, because there has been a pretty solid increase in pace. It was subtle, and as she comes out of the park now, it really is a race for both men and women.
And it's nice, actually, you know, you come through that tunnel and he'll then be coming out into the open. He'll know that he's close to the finish. He'll be able to see central Birmingham. He'll be able to probably hear the crowds. And again, although he's running uphill, you'd barely know it, would you?
No, you wouldn't. I mean, there is a slight downhill at the end, but you know, it's very deceptive. I mean, he's got good stride length, he's relaxed in the shoulders, his face not betraying tension at all. He's receiving the accolade of the sparse crowd at this point, but there will be quite a big crowd as he approaches the finish, and well, he deserves it. He's run, as you said earlier, a perfect tactical race, and whilst Emmanuel Bet tried to break away from him, it looked as though it was significant, then all of a sudden he came back, and that must have had an effect on Emmanuel Bet's psyche, because then he made his own break eventually, and it was a most significant break. This is hard. This is tough. And I can tell you that Pauline Wanjiku has been absolutely struggling up the hill part in the final stages for her. Been holding her side a little bit in this race, but has been grimacing too, so she is hurting, really hurting. But I don't think she's in danger unless she has to stop. Lynette Massai way down, another little glance over the shoulder, but really she's led the race pretty well from the start. And this is a man who came here, perhaps not the favourite on paper, but he's destroyed this field. I mean he's destroyed it, and it's been such a difficult course, as it always is. Its undulations have taken their toll on some of the very best. But with 200 metres to go, and watch the clock, with his best of 62 minutes and 49 seconds in real jeopardy, and he truly deserves this. This is a season in which he's run a couple of half marathons. He's done very well in them, and this is the best performance of all, though, we have to say, on the Bupa Great Birmingham run. Is going to be won by a Kenyan who's run a perfect race, a pure, perfect technical race, and tactical race too. As he speeds through towards the finish, a little look at the clock. Yes, you've broken your personal best, 61.39. And that is a very good run indeed. Brilliant. Yes, Emmanuel Bet met his match today, didn't he? He's a man who in October last year was second to Gabriel Selassie in the Great Scottish Run. And that was over the half marathon distance too. So he'd have found a man who really has excelled today beyond his personal best time. And Emmanuel Bet, he too receiving the accolade of this crowd. He'll be pleased that's finished, because that was tough at the end. It really was. There he is, our winner, and that's Joel Kimutai of Kenya. Oh, look at this, Chengyewo's coming past. Chengyewo is coming through to take second place as a new lease of life from her. That's Doris Chengyewo, also of Kenya. Remember, she was the silver medalist in the Commonwealth Games, over 10,000, and really has found an awful lot of life in the final stages of this race, as Lynette Massau, on her debut, has found life very difficult and different.
Mixed emotions, from absolute control to real discomfort. Less than 200 metres to go, and she's going to win this and win it wonderfully well. Here she comes.
Yeah, just looking behind, David, there is a close-up or a closer look at Doris Chengyewo. She really has made some headway, but not enough.
Not enough. And Chengyewo's run well to get past Massai to get second. But Wanjiku, brilliant run, hard run. And my goodness, I think she's going to be released over the last 50 metres. Never has the finish been more appreciated. Well done.
Yeah, great run by Wanjiku at 70.48. And that's not bad, actually. She was inside 70 at one stage. And let's see how far behind Chengyewo was. But I don't think it was far. Here we are. Here she comes. And we'll see how far she was behind. Oh, look at this, there's Massai behind, so that's a bit of recovery from Lynette Massai, actually, in the final stages. I have to say that. They're well within, both of them well within the last 200 metres. But so Chengyewo comes through to take second place in this Great Birmingham run for 2014. That was hard, and I have a feeling if she'd have probably taken a little bit closer order early on, she may well have prevailed here. But Massai takes the third place, and there's a little bit of recovery in the final stages there, but to look at that, almost a full minute behind in the end. Chengyewo 41 seconds behind, so good run indeed by Pauline Wanjiku of Kenya, and Chengyewo of Kenya also giving chase in the final stages, but just leaving it a little bit too late. Let's just update the result then. Kimatai won 1:39, Emmanuel Bet in second, Elroy Gillant in third. It's a personal best for Kimatai, and Wanjiku led from start to finish, 1 hour 10 minutes 48 seconds. Changewo of Kenya in second place, and Lynette Masai in third. Well, coming up for us then is the Bupa Great South Run. But don't forget, keep up to date on our website, greatrun.org. From us all here in Birmingham, goodbye.